All
Rube
right, what's going
Waddell.
on, everyone? Episode 107. Having some pre AFR talk. How's everyone
Yeah,
doing?
great. Great. We got lost in the sauce between Rube Waddell, MLB early 1900s legend, and 1970s NASCAR drivers and what they went through to pave the way, different type of pioneer lifestyle.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
like going on pre-show.
18 days
a
to your
lot.
wedding.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Pretty
going
crazy.
on, like going on then, like going on now. So,
All right, well, we got baseball, we got NBA Finals, Stanley Cup, NASCAR update. Yeah, a lot to talk about. I'll report back next week, going to my first WNBA game on Sunday. So we'll let you guys know how that goes.
It's exciting.
Yeah. Connecticut Sun, who are awful this year, but still excited to.
that's who you're going to see.
Yeah, Mystics and Sun.
Are you going to at least wear Connecticut Sun?
I don't have any Connecticut Sun.
You know where their
attire.
color?
It's basically Mets colors. Mets stuff.
You cannot show up to a Connecticut Sun game wearing Mets stuff.
All right. Well, I'll see. I don't think I'll figure it out.
You need a Deladon jersey.
Yeah, I could. The Sun. I mean, they
Jenna
got
2021.
They got destroyed by the Liberty. I think it was like they lost by, what was it, 40? I don't know. It was bad. I looked at the score, like
that's
half,
not good.
60 to 28. They were losing.
Oh no.
Yeah. So backed out. All right. Well, let's start with some baseball. So, I can talk a little bit Mets first. They had a good little run after their tough stretch. Got the Rockies, which helps everyone, as you guys know. Definitely.
Yeah, you spend so much time complaining about the schedule. Everyone.
I did not
plays
complain
everyone.
about this.
No, you were.
I just said it was a
complaining
tough stretch.
You complained about it.
I did not complain about it. Well, the Mets have gotten their stuff back in order. Lindor is playing fantastic. He's hitting 285, 14 homers now. He keeps hitting leadoff home runs, which is helpful. Bullpen's doing their thing. They got Paul. They're going to six-man rotation. Paul Blackburn, first start of the year last night, pitched 5 scoreless innings against the Dodgers, which was huge. And Soto's finally showing a little more life in his back, getting some extra base hits. Hustling. He's hustling. Can't say he's not hustling right now. So I appreciate that. Ground ball to second base last night, and he almost beat it out. Like he was moving. He's got 8 stolen bases this year, which is kind of surprising too. Don't kind of think of him as someone who steals much.
He can move.
He can move when he wants to. So Mets doing well. They were 24 and 35 the same time last year.
You'll take that all day.
They got to the NLCS, so I will take that all day. They got the Dodgers, and then they get the Rockies for another 3 more or 4 more. I don't actually remember. 3 more.
Yeah. I think it goes Rockies, Marlins, Rockies, right? Who are they playing right now?
The Dodgers.
Oh, Dodgers in the middle? And do they have the Marlins after the Rockies, maybe?
Yeah, Rockies in. But big winning last night. It was a really good game. They were up. Ohtani had a monster home run to put up 2-1 or to go down 2-1. And then the Mets blew it in the 9th. Diaz's first blown save of the year. He's been really good. Blew the save, but kept the game tied. Ohtani hit a fly ball, just missed a home run that got the sac fly in. And then Alvarez, who has done nothing, leads off the 10th with a double. And then Lindor a single, and they get 2 runs, which is huge because then they were able to come out of the game with a 4-3 win. Definitely big, especially against the Dodgers and what they can do. So I'm happy where the Mets are. They just got to continue pitching the way they've been pitching, and the bats will come. The bats will come. Vientos went down at the end of the game. He's probably going to be on the IL. He hit a ground ball in the hole, and then you just see this throw to first base, and you just don't see him in the frame at all. And you're like, what the heck happened? Like, you think it's a play you could beat out, and he's not in the frame at all. They show the replay, and he just stumbles and then just comes up grabbing his hammy. So he's probably done for a while. They called up Ronnie Mauricio. They're one of their top prospects who was out pretty much all last year with a torn ACL. And yeah, we'll see what he can do. And I'm happy where they are. Can't complain. Got back into first for a little while, and if they can Mets Phillies kind of battle it out and kind of keep everyone else at bay. That would be fine with me.
Nats still in third, right?
Nats still in third.
I made that prediction. It's gonna come true.
Hey, I'd be happy to
It's a
see the Nats
busted
in
Braves
third.
season.
I'm not counting them out yet. The Braves can be pesky. And if that lineup gets hot,
no.
I like the optimism. At least we can all agree that we don't want to see the Braves succeed.
I think we should have more optimism in the Nationals. That's my take. I'm not saying the Braves are gonna.
That lineup is. I mean, what was the Diamondbacks? They got 11 runs before now or 8 runs before now?
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
crazy. That lineup is. I mean, they're going to be good for a long time.
Yeah, they're not hateable yet. So
no, not yet.
I guess they weren't even that hateable when they won the World Series somehow.
Well, they were a surprise team.
Still used to them being like the worst team ever, but Marlins, I guess, have taken that for the NL East.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, they lost to the Rockies last night.
Hey, Rockies are due.
I wonder how many fans were at that game.
Yeah, not probably more still than like a 2011 Oakland A's Coliseum game, but.
Oh yeah, I remember going to that A's Coliseum when
Did you get a foul ball?
I was in middle school. No, I just remember the whole entire top section of the stadium just being like covered. Like they didn't even try to sell seats. It was totally covered.
I missed that stadium already. No. A lot going on. I feel like the Rays, I've been, following them, not really a whole ton, but I think they're pretty neat story because you read some articles about the Rays, and obviously they're in such a competitive division. O's are down this year. They're over 500 right now, about 60 games in or so. And the biggest storyline with them, I feel like, is still the Wander Franco and just how they basically put all their chips into him being like the centerpiece of this scrappy team. Their farm system's not what it was 3 to 5 years ago, and they're still competitive. All 5 starters are pitching, 5-6 innings a game, getting quality starts. They're not just going 2-3 innings, bullpen games all the time. And obviously Pete Fairbanks has been great on the back end of that. Wouldn't be opposed to him being in a Phillies uniform here in a month or so. But I don't know if the Rays are going to sell necessarily right now. They're just a competitive team. They got a lot of fun players down there playing in a minor league stadium, one of the Steinbrenner fields down there in Florida. They've just been an interesting story to me. But I think the biggest thing was just how you basically that Wander Franco story is still pretty wild, and they've been able to sustain like competitiveness on the field, which is it's pretty neat for a team like that.
Rays are always scrappy. They always figure out a way.
It's wild.
It is.
I mean, there's teams like the O's. I know they didn't have pitching, but it's just crazy. From season to season, everyone says, "Oh, there's so many games." Like the good teams will be good in the end, and the bad teams will be bad. But it's really not always the case.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, it's like devastating for some teams to like give out a big contract like that, especially a smaller team like the Rays. But
yeah,
they've just been able to survive it, and I don't know. It's almost like it would be a luxury to have them if they like at this point because they've just been able to still be competitive.
Yeah, it's wild. The Cardinals and another, I think, semi-surprise. They built that team 2-3 years ago. Goldschmidt, Arenado, Walker might have still, I forget their whole team. Adam Wainwright might have still been pitching at the time, and they've kind of been basically underachieving like a 76ers type team the last 3 years, and they started moving some pieces. Arenado was most likely going to get traded this season, and they've, I think, played better than people all thought in that weird NL Central that you never know who's going to win.
Oh yeah, they'll fizzle out.
You're confident in that?
Yeah.
So do you think they should sell?
Yeah, they'll fizzle out. Two players I want to talk about. First of all, Pete Crow Armstrong.
No.
What do you mean no?
I'm not a fan.
Okay.
I'm out on Pete Crow Armstrong.
First round pick by the Mets. Was a good prospect from the Mets. Traded him to the Cubs for Javier Baez. Javi was great for that half season, but Pete Crow Armstrong has been an absolute star. He's what I thought Jared Kelenic was going to be when they made that trade with Edwin Diaz. Because at the time, everyone could not believe the Mets traded Kelenic. And that, I don't know what happened to him, but that turned out to be a disaster and turned out to be a great trade. Armstrong, he was always a Gold Glove defender. It was always, his glove was always elite, but the power was not there in the minors. I don't know his minor league stats, but I just remember it was not there. I followed the farm system pretty well. So he did some adjustments or something, but he is like a totally different player, and he is just going nuts for the Cubs right now, which kind of sucks to see him doing in a different uniform. But the other, I don't know why don't you like him? Is there a reason? Is the hair?
I honestly, it's probably falls into the category of those young players that I believe are overhyped. It's such a small sample size in such a big game. This isn't like an Ohtani's type of situation. And I hate that you Google PCA and he comes up. The power thing is a very interesting story to me.
Yeah, so
I mean, he burned the Phillies already once, and he just seems like one of those guys that can play villain.
Yeah, I mean, so 2022 with the Mets farm systems and he had 312 with 16 homers, and he had 20 home runs one year, but he's never had more than that in a minor league season. He's already at 15 through 230 at bats in 59 games, which is just like that whole thing is crazy. I don't know, but the other play I wanted to talk about was Cal Raleigh, just the big dumper. I love to see catchers hitting home runs. I mean, crazy to see a guy in this day and age. I feel like catchers in general they play a lot more sparingly. They don't play as much every day. You have the DH now, but you don't see catchers hitting for that type of power. And I'm excited to see that he's doing that. And it's not for like a hateable team either. Like it's the Mariners, so they're like far enough out there, they're not affecting anything the Mets do or anything. It's fine. Yeah. And he's been really consistent. He's hit like at least 25 home runs every year since 2022. And he's had 23 right now, tied with Judge. And he's going to work. He's what I want Francisco Alvarez to become. And
that won't happen, man.
I mean, Francisco Alvarez had 25 home runs his rookie year as a catcher. I'm not sure what's going on with his swing right now.
Yeah. Now the Cal Raleigh, Chase has mentioned him before. He's one of the reasons why you feel like interleague play is a must. Players like Cal Raleigh every other year come into Citizens Bank Park, getting the chance to see him. It makes baseball a lot more fun. And he's been, very rootable guy, complete opposite of Pete Crow Armstrong, no nickname Pete.
I don't hate Pete Crow Armstrong. I just don't like that he could have been on the Mets. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anything to add for baseball, Chase?
No, we'll just say that the Phillies' little spurt has been a little bit painful to watch, but I feel like this is like one of those things that's inevitable to happen in a season.
Yeah, well, and
just the way you shuffle. Yeah,
up 7-1 tonight, and Harper and Turner both hit home runs in the first inning. So I'm sure Harper's first at bat back. It's nice to see that.
Yeah, then that was the other thing. Like they were kind of shuffling their lineups, and they had a doubleheader, and it was like I feel like they were just kind of reeling a little bit. And then once they could get Harper back in there, and I mean, I got to see the Chris Sale game in person, and I mean, he was being classic Chris Sale, I would have to say. I mean, it was just they couldn't get a lot going. Couldn't even anytime they made contact with the ball, it was just soft contact, fly ball. Really just could not amount to anything. And Wheeler didn't even pitch that bad. He just kind of, it was kind of a empty 4-0 score by the time he left. It really wasn't a whole lot of like big contact and big damage. It was more just good placement and small ball.
Yeah.
And also the Braves are a really good team. So like, it was just it was all those guys you're not surprised by. And then when Austin Riley can go off, or for fantasy purposes, if Michael Harris could have went off, that would have been great. You know, but yeah, just one of those things. But yeah, I would just say it's like that's the beauty of the baseball season, though. Is like you can have 2 games where you give up double-digit runs and then come back and reel it back in, and you know, just really make it seem like it was a blip on the radar over 162 games.
Yeah, from the outside looking in, I mean, that's, you know, one of the things Lindsay says to me all the time in these series. You know, how can you lose by 10 runs and then win the next 2 games and win the series? And it's like, I mean, that's like the definition of you have to be professional about it. It can be grueling. The Rockies will show you how grueling it can be and how you can stack up their losses. But yeah, it's just a little spurt. Phillies have had worse in May the last couple of seasons, in my opinion. I think, Chase, the biggest thing to your point is just the lineup. Harper hasn't been doing a whole lot this season, but just his, like, you know, him being in that solid 2-3 spot, depending on if they're playing a righty or a lefty, with Schwarber behind him, and just excited to have him back. So,
yeah, that sounds good. And last thing for baseball, just shout out to Corey Lewis. Still grinding in AAA. He's been struggling a little bit, but we're rooting for you. Hope you get back on track and, you know, whatnot. So,
oh yeah, always gonna support him.
Hell yeah. So, all right, we'll move on to the NBA Finals. Honestly, I don't even care that much to talk too much about the finals. You guys
are you just that salty?
Yeah, pretty salty
still.
Yeah, I just feel like the Pacers could have, if that. I mean, you know the pain, but that shot, that Halliburton that went like 10 feet above the freaking backboard. If that doesn't go in game 1, that whole series is different.
Yeah.
Now a lot led to that, so it's not just like that one shot, but still.
No, you can look back on it now when you're still, you know, 3-1, 3-2, whatever the case may be in the series.
But I'm now at this point, I'm just rooting for the Thunder because I don't want to see. I don't like Halliburton, so just rooting for the Thunder. But I'm not going to be watching a ton, if I'm going to be honest.
I'm not a huge Halliburton fan either.
At this point, I think I would rather watch a Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
I'm not even a big hockey fan, and I think I would rather watch a Stanley Cup.
I can jump on board with that. Chase, you're not rooting for the Thunder, though, are you?
Not really. No, I can't really root for either team if I'm being completely honest. Like, my biggest gripe though with the Thunder is they can't win and have 700 picks. That can't be a thing. Like, if you win, you have to give back all of your picks because you definitely don't need them, and you were doing something that every other team got penalized for doing.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know if it's one of those weird things because all those star players left, or what. I mean, you moved the team from Seattle, you lost all your star players. We're not going to just allow you to just lose on purpose and stack up pick after pick up, being involved in every single trade at the trade deadline, just snagging second round picks, stacking them up, and
or taking salary dumps, and then drafting 5 of the same players. Like, it's really unexciting basketball. It really is. Like, it's great, but at the same time, it's like, this is not. I don't know. I mean, it might be a cooler matchup than what I can imagine, but yeah, it's just if you're comparing it to the Stanley Cup Finals where you have Edmonton and Florida, I'm like, very much more of a stylistic matchup, gonna be compelling.
Yeah,
nothing against these teams, but I don't know. It just seems like they can both run out, and then especially the Thunder, they can trounce somebody by 30. It seems pretty easily throughout the playoffs, and I don't know.
This could be like that. Was it the 2016 NBA Finals? The Cavs Warriors, where every single game was like a blowout. I forget the box scores of those games, but it was like you didn't know what to expect. You're like, this could be a decent matchup, but then none of the individual games were good, and it was just like everyone was sitting halfway through the fourth quarter every night. And the Thunder are kind of like a more hateable, like 2010, 2014 Spurs type of, like, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of Chet Holmgren. I don't mind SGA, Jalen Williams. You know, he's cool. But overall, their team, Alex Crusoe, not really a fan. And on the other side, the Pacers, it's probably just the frustration building up over the last 7 years of being a 76ers fan. But a team like the Pacers just throw something together. Yeah, we'll finish, anywhere from like the 4th to 7th seed max and just kind of figure it out. And then just got TJ McConnell coming off the bench, freaking hitting a 3 in an elimination game. It's like, what the heck is just going on here? And, so besides him, I'm rooting for him. That's about it. I think I'm going to hop on board with Ben, though. Not to cut the NBA Finals talk short, but I am looking more forward to the Stanley Cup this year, and I haven't said that in probably like 13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk Stanley Cup quick since we just kind of roll into it anyway? None of us are super.
Yeah. Well, we got to go picks.
Oh, picks for the finals.
Yeah, I mean,
Thunder in 5.
Okay. Thunder, they're the home team. I'm still. Yeah, I'll go Thunder in 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think it could be. It's gonna be like one of those. Okay, I'm gonna pick here. I'm saying Pacers win game 1. It's gonna be like the Sixers in 2001.
Yeah.
Like David versus Goliath, and they'll come out and they'll smack them, and then they're just gonna get stomped immediately after.
It'd be a nice bet if Pacers win game 1. You really think that, and you could just bet Thunder win in 5 after Pacers win game.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
I could take the Thunder in 5 in general, but then double down.
I like that.
So yeah, Chase.
Yeah, I'm got like the Thunder in 5, super tasty. I think for some reason they're just gonna grind this out, so it might go 7.
Okay.
I also could just see the Thunder coming out and just completely sweeping Indiana 4.
Yeah,
that's not really outside the realm, but yeah, I'll go with I'll be a contrarian and just say 7. Thunder and 7.
I don't know the last
Definitely
time
gonna be the Thunder though.
Finals. What's the odds on Thunder from 5? Can we get Stack Eye on that real quick?
Sure, Stack.
I have to imagine the Thunder are the favorites overall.
Oh yeah, it's probably.
I don't know exactly, but they gotta be.
They've just been I mean, how many of the last series against the Timberwolves did they absolutely just pants them?
I mean, they're minus 9.5 point favorites on the first game.
That's ridiculous. For not having household names, they might be one of the most dominant teams in the NBA.
SGA is a minus 550 for Finals MVP.
That's crazy. Like,
yeah,
minus 550.
Yeah,
I guess they're basically just going to give it to them. So since 2000, there's been 3 teams that have swept in the finals: the 2002 Lakers, the 2007 Spurs. So these are like full-blown loaded Hall of Fame teams, and then the 2018 Warriors that I believe had KD. Yes, who won Finals MVP. So now seeing that, I don't know if the Thunder are going to sweep, but I still don't think the Pacers are that good.
You can pick the correct order. I don't see you can pick like a Thunder.
You cannot pick Thunder in 5. Is there an over/under for series games? 5.5. Under is minus 148.
Mm-hmm. They're minus 750 to win the series, to win the finals.
I like the under. I'm right now minus 148 Thunder under 5.5 game. You don't have to. I mean, the Pacers can win.
Plus 1,400 for Indiana win game 1, and then OKC to win the next 4. Plus 290. The lowest odds is for them to sweep.
It's ridiculous. I just don't. I mean, unless the matchups there, there's been 3 teams in the last 25 years.
That's crazy. Freaking.
I'm telling you, I might put
freaking. Who's the next guy now? Who's the center? What's his face?
Mitchell Robinson?
No.
Hartenstein.
Yeah, Hartenstein.
Oh my. Yeah. Okay. Pacers. His little dumb little flick shot is such a terrible move, and it shouldn't work.
He's a good fit for that team, though. He's just kind
of. The Pacers have depth. I mean, they have Hartenstein, they have Holmgren, they have some depth but the Pacers,
Yeah, Pacers got those Thomas Bryant.
Yeah, Wallace, I think's out. He's gonna miss at least the first couple games, but no, it'll be fun. It'll be a little more fun. It just won't be as enjoyable.
Yeah, no,
that makes any sense.
But what might be enjoyable, Stanley Cup, Chase, gonna be enjoyable.
Yeah, I would have to say it's a rematch of last year, so I know some people automatically are gonna detract from that, but I think in a way this is legitimately the two best teams really rising to the occasion, and they found their way through probably maybe I would have to say the toughest road in the playoffs for a professional sports team to have to do what you have to do in order to make it there is somewhat impossible, and be able to have it 2 years in a row, 3 years if you're the Florida Panthers, I mean, that's pretty outrageous to do, so setting the stage for tomorrow night, Florida Panthers going to Edmonton to open up the series there.
Love that.
Looks like Edmonton is gonna be a slight home favorite, so Florida road dogs, kind of, kind of enticing there. I could see the Panthers getting a early game 1 road win, but
Sure.
yeah, I really, I don't know what to expect with this series. I don't have a good feel on who's gonna win this thing overall. I know last week we made predictions and stuff like that, but, now that we're actually here and feeling in the moment, and, it's tough to really put Connor McDavid in a position where he lost the Stanley Cup in 7 when they were down 3 game like, down hard, or no other team's been able to come back forward. He pretty much brought him back to a game 7 and, unfortunately lost, so I don't know what that means for Connor McDavid. I would have to imagine since he's one of the greatest players of this generation, probably the number 1 center in the league right now, that, he can rise to this occasion. So I don't know what Edmonton's gonna be able to do, but, they feel like they've been able to have a little bit more offensive consistency where I felt like last year they kinda sputtered out a few more
Yeah.
times and especially in the finals, it felt like they just really were hard pressed to come across some goals, but it feels like this year they've just been able to find a better flow, and they really didn't change a lot of their team, and neither did Florida. They really just added pieces, but they didn't really lose a whole lot of big pieces at all. So it's a there's a lot riding on this game 1, that's for sure. I
Yeah.
don't know what the stats are of winners and losers of game 1, but I feel like whoever does comes out and cements their position because Florida's just so physical, but Edmonton can also be pretty sneaky physical wise. Like they're not afraid to do it, and especially they went up against this team last year, so I think that sets it up for a better matchup because they did play each other last year, so they already have a lot of information. So they're pretty much just going to come out and like maybe they're going to change a few things, but I feel like both teams are just going to be gunning for it because they're so familiar at this point, and that's I can't really say there's too many other times in a championship series where if it's a rematch from year to year, I can't stand the Chiefs making the Super Bowl as much as they have, but
Yeah.
I'm pumped that I'm gonna see the Panthers 3 times in a row in the Stanley Cups. Like that seems weird to say, but in a way, it's the best 2 teams, and I really do want to see the best 2 teams in hockey make it there, or at least the 2 hottest teams, and they're also the best and the hottest teams at this point.
And at least the matchup last year, like it was a really good Stanley Cup. So it's not like you're running back like a lopsided. Like there's a rivalry there. There was intense moments. Like it'll be good.
It was wild too. And Chase, you already answered my one question about the importance of game 1. I'm gonna double down here. How important is it for Edmonton to win games 1 and 2? I mean, I'm not saying look ahead here. I'm sure all the players, the coaching staff, everything, being down how they were last year in the finals is a one game at a time. I'm sure game 1 is the utmost important, but I got a weird feeling here that they got to win the first 2 games or they're not going to win the Stanley Cup. I don't know why, but it just seems like Florida is so consistently good that unless you get them twice in a row early, it might be hard to come back.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think it really just comes down to the goaltending, and Florida has Bobrovsky, who's gonna come out and do what he does. There's probably gonna be a game in the series that you can blow him up a little bit, but if he can come out and if you're Edmonton, you can make that game 1 and make game 2 scrappy and win it by a goal or something like that. Being up 2 is gonna be key. Like, I think that was why they kind of faltered a little bit last year is because they just came out and couldn't get a win right away. So, like, I think if they can come out, especially being on home ice to start, that'd
Yeah.
be a big advantage for them. But I feel like it's really just going to come down to if you look at the two goaltenders on paper, obviously Florida has a better advantage versus what Edmonton's going to be able to put out there. Serviceable, but definitely not at the same level as Bobrovsky's going to be. So, yeah, it's I would say there's more pressure on getting to game 2, and it's like you kinda have to overlook game 1 a little bit, but it's like if
Yeah.
you can win like, you should be able to win this game at home. They've done pretty well at home. Um, you know, take that momentum into game 2 and then just do what you can because if you go back to Florida, it's a long trip, it's travel. Florida's been a chaotic place to play, and they score in bunches too, which has been it feels like every series so far, they've been able to get to a game. Toronto was a little bit different, but especially this Carolina series, like they would get 1 goal and then within 3 minutes, possibly have as many as 4 goals.
Yeah.
Like they just would pour it on then. So it was like I can
Yeah.
see that happening just because of the goaltending. And it's a little bit of a tandem situation. Not really, but they could be for Edmonton.
Yeah, I feel like they need to be in a position. They need to force Florida to feel like they have to make an adjustment. I feel like if you can go up 2-0, you can get into the coaching staff's head enough going back home to Florida where they will feel like they have to make an adjustment, which ultimately I think would hurt them. And for me, first 2 games, utmost importance. It goes 2-3-2 in the Stanley Cup still, right?
Yeah,
Like
I'm pretty
baseball is at
sure.
2-2, 1-1-1. I feel like with
Yeah,
the
it's
amount they're traveling for this,
Yeah.
it's got to be
It's gotta be
2-3-2. But I mean, NBA goes 2-2, 1-1-1 no matter what. Baseball, I know it is 2-3-2.
yeah,
But
it's 2 home, 2 away, and then you
okay,
alternate.
okay, so that
Yeah.
I mean that makes it even more important to
2 home,
me
2 away,
to
2
go
home.
to.
Oh, okay.
That's what makes it even more important to me to win the first 2.
Yeah.
Because
I
I
mean,
mean, if you
and the
want to
way
win, go ahead.
I was gonna say the way they have it scheduled out is game 7 could be on June 20th.
Oh my gosh.
So they
Oh,
scheduled some time in between.
The
wait,
night
yeah,
Yeah.
wait.
like Friday night before your wedding.
It
It's game
starts.
7.
What's today's
It
date?
starts tomorrow.
Oh, so that's a 2 week. Yeah, it could be a big 2 week series.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess that's how all series ends up being. But when you look at it before the series starts, it's just crazy. June 20th is so far out. They
Yeah.
could still be
Yeah.
playing hockey.
They're going deep.
At least if it's
Especially
a June
considering
20th, the June 20th Stanley Cup Finals game is in Canada. No,
Yeah.
no need for a June 20th Florida game.
oh yeah, no. It'd be 95 degrees out and humid.
Oh my gosh, ridiculous. Still weird, but
Yeah. No,
no.
I feel like this will be good though, and Edmonton should take a lot of what they saw from Toronto doing early in their series because I feel
Yeah,
like Toronto was able to get Florida off their game a little bit, made them question what they were doing. And like you said, it made Florida made some changes on their lines and stuff like that, and just the different shifts that they had going. But um, obviously, Toronto couldn't hold on to that, even though they had a great game plan and they kind of just let the series slip out of their hands. But in a way, this series kind of reminds me of when you would have to play Tom Brady and you just couldn't let him sit back there and throw whatever he wanted to because you were just going to die in a game against him. If you're going to let him do that, you kind of have to be a little creative, make a little pressure, just do something out of the ordinary that he's not going to be able to react as fast to because he
yeah,
was going to hold the ball for 2.1 seconds. So all right, you're already kind of limited on what your options are now. So you either have to get there super quick, or disguise a bunch of coverages, or send a bunch of people, or have Ed Reed. So unless you had any of those options, you were pretty limited on what you're going to be able to do. But you had to do something because if you let him dictate the game, you're going to most likely lose it because he's just going to hold on to the ball forever. So I
yeah,
feel like with Ferrana or with Florida, they're like a dump and chase team, or they're just gonna dump it in the zone, but they get to the puck so quick that I think it catches some teams off guard. So if Edmonton kind of like figures out a way to, I don't know, minimize their effectiveness, I don't know how you do that on, and it's been a style that's been around forever. Uh, it's definitely changed, and the skill level is a lot more. But
Yeah.
if any team could do it, I think Edmonton could do it. They have 3 legitimate scoring weapons, 4 if you count a defenseman. So they got weapons all over in different pieces. So it's going to be a good one. This has really just been a great culmination of what the Stanley Cups has been. So, like I said, I'm happy you guys are going to be able to tune in and see some of these games
Yeah.
because it's really just this Stanley Cup run has been so much fun. And I'm a little sad it's kind of wrapping up. Like we're at the final stages of it because it was chaos.
This may be a stupid question. What channel is Stanley Cup on?
It should be TNT
Is it
for the
TNT? Okay.
series. Yeah,
Okay.
TNT, and I think Max will have it. HBO
Okay.
Max.
Plus, I have
Yeah.
Max, so I just couldn't
There you
remember
go.
where Cup was.
Yeah.
So. Clutch.
Yeah.
Also, Stack, I'll have to get the odds on Finals MVP here too, but it was ridiculous how McDavid won last year. I think that was another big story. Chase, is there anyone besides him that can win Finals MVP this year? I mean, I get it. It went 7. I don't think if it didn't go 7, McDavid probably wouldn't have gotten it. But that was ridiculous last year in itself. I know he wasn't even. I don't even think he came out to get it. He wasn't happy about it, which completely understandable. But
Conn Smythe, is that the?
Yeah.
So it's McDavid at minus 105, and then Bobrovsky, and then Barkov.
Okay.
So Bobrovsky's Panthers goalie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 Panthers are immediately behind. That's a little telling.
The Stanley Cup in general series is minus 128 Oilers and plus 106 Panthers, but it's, basically a toss up.
I already read an article today about the Panthers are like gonna like be this underdog role, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like the vibes of AFR is Edmonton. I also think Canada deserves a Stanley Cup here at some point. It's
4+ goals in the series. McDavid plus 210. I like that bet.
4+ goals.
Yeah,
that's a lot of goals. But he could easily have like one game where he has.
If he goes like the first 2 games with none, though,
that's tough. Yeah, the first 2 games.
Are you gonna make it
really be sweating it?
I'm gonna make it a pick. Plus 210.
Okay, yeah.
Because I feel like he could. I know there's definitely games where you could just have like a bunch of points and then goals doesn't count if it's just assists. But I like that pick. I'm gonna make it.
Okay.
I'm gonna make that pick.
And just so everyone's aware, the Thunder under 5.5. Thunder Pacers series under 5.5 games minus 148. I'm also making it a pick.
Okay.
So. All right. Yeah. I mean, if McDavid is, I feel like if Edmonton's gonna win, it's gonna have to be on McDavid's stick for a lot of it. Like I feel like he can't be a passenger. He can't be he's got to take over these games the way he can.
Yeah. That's a good point. If Edmonton wants to be competitive and even win the series, he's going to have 4 goals. So it's not a bad bet at all. Plus 210. Tasty. 1 unit, 2 units.
Well, I don't.
10 units.
I don't bet much. I am not betting 10 units on hockey.
And AFR, everyone knows AFR units are the best units. So stress-free units. That's how you bet. Stress-free units.
Kind of retired from betting. I don't bet much at all anymore.
You can't say I'm kind of retired from betting at the age of 29. None of that made sense.
Well, back in our heyday.
Yeah. I think betting retired from me in a way.
I like that. See that, Chase, that was beautiful.
Like I still want it, but it's still like it doesn't really
The last time I made a bet was your bachelor party. I guess now I'm a social bettor. I used to be like a grind out games, bet on my own. Now I just socially bet.
I think I'm a patient bettor now. That's where I'm gonna go. I think
you're a couples bettor now.
I am a couples bettor. That's true. Yeah, I'm not that patient.
You should make like one of those books for like, let's say, betting different types of bettors, like they do with the fart book that we have up there. Different types. Of be funny.
A bet book.
Anyway.
Yeah. So
NASCAR.
Right, let's move. Wait, what's our picks? Our picks. Okay, I'm gonna run it back, I'm gonna say Edmonton in 7. Gets to 7 again. 14 games in
All
2
right.
years. This time they raised the cup at home.
I like it.
And I will say McDavid will get his 4 goals.
All right. I like it. I should probably be consistent and pick who I picked last week, but to be honest, I can't really remember who I picked last week, so I'm just gonna ride off the top of my head with what I'm
I think you
feeling.
said I think you went
I feel like
Florida
I
last
went Florida.
Yeah.
I think I'm still gonna stick with Florida. As much as I don't want that to happen, like you said, Ryan, Canada needs a Stanley Cup more than anything right now. I don't know what Canada has else to root for if they don't have a Stanley Cup, and they haven't had it in a super long, an egregious amount of time.
Yeah.
For a place that wins every other trophy you can win for hockey standards, they can't win a Stanley Cup. They desperately need that for their country. But I don't know. I just feel like Florida. They added so many weapons, and
Yeah.
they're just they haven't shown me. They haven't given me a lot of reasons this playoff run not to believe them. So
I'm gonna be honest. I totally zoned out for you.
Edmonton in 7, Ben.
Yours is
And I
Edmonton.
said McDavid hits his 4 goals.
Okay.
All right, Chase.
yeah, I'm gonna say Florida in 7. I'll make it.
Yeah.
I want 7, so
Florida was the home team though last year, right? They won on their ice.
yeah,
Okay.
Oh,
that would be gut wrenching.
yeah, it would.
Oh my gosh, Edmonton! I'd be crying for those fans.
I'm gonna say Edmonton in 5.
Whoa,
All right, I like it.
whoa, bold pick, Benny. Actually, that's just bad pick, Benny.
Okay. Better or worse than?
You're going the complete opposite of the guy across the Pennsylvania pond that like hits these time after. How many?
I got
we gotta get a
nothing to lose.
montage of
I'm not
Chase.
betting this. I got nothing to lose.
Chase's championship pick nation.
I am not saying I know more hockey than Chase. 100%.
No, I'm just championship picks though. I mean, NBA, I think he's been spot on. The Super Bowl, obviously, he's hit. Chase, if you just waited and picked all your bets to who would win the championship when it got there, you would.
I know.
Be at least like 7 more units richer right now.
Yeah.
I should just be the move. I just do championships only.
Yeah. But don't do them like Ben, who does them like a month into the season. and then picks every championship team for like the year.
Oh yeah, I have one cooking right now.
Yeah, who did? Do you have any of these Stanley Cup teams?
Oh yeah, actually. Oh wait, did it lose?
Yeah,
it lost. It had the Knicks.
Oh,
it had Scotty Scheffler to win the PGA, and he did. And it had the Oilers, and then the Knicks. I didn't realize. And then it had the Phoenix Mercury, so I would have had to wait a hot minute for the WNBA season.
Oh yeah, when is the finals for WNBA?
I think it's sometime. It ends before the NBA starts, so I think it's the playoffs start in September.
September, October.
Yeah,
that would have been so long.
But anyway, I did have the Oilers, but I didn't realize I had the Knicks, so that's done.
Yeah, that's tough.
All right, quick from the ice to the rubber to the gravel.
Yeah, to the surface.
Pavement. I don't know what track.
In the pavement. They're in Nashville. They were in Nashville this past weekend.
Isn't there one that's brick?
Is there a brick track?
Well, it's not a brick track, but it has brick in it in Indianapolis. The start finish line's brick.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, this past weekend was in Nashville. Pretty good race. It's a good racetrack. Gotta be full disclosure. I didn't watch the weekend before. It's just scheduling conflicts, and being on Prime is kind of a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I forgot how much of it. Yeah. But especially for football season when you can just easily bop around, and if you're waiting between like. I found that same problem with NASCAR now is like if you're on the app, you're on the app. You can't really go anywhere or do anything. So kind of a bummer, a little bit of a pain in the ass, but we'll get through it. It's only for a few races. So yeah, this past weekend, Ryan Blaney comes out on top. Hannah was pumped. That's her favorite driver. He
Oh,
needed it. Team Penske still showing their dominance to get another driver in. So, all three are pretty much locked into a playoff position at this point because of their wins. So that
Yeah.
was big for them to get that. On the year, the stats wise, number one overall is still William Byron, number two, Kyle Larson, number three, Christopher Bell, four, Denny Hamlin, five, Chase Elliott, my pick for the year. So he's still hanging in there, although he doesn't have a win. Somewhat been a little bit
He's got
underwhelming in a
time.
way. It's still very early yet. And he just needs a win to pretty much lock himself in, and he's already up there with the points. So he's doing himself a good favor by still staying in the stages. He's kind of been quiet in a way, so definitely not like last year with Christopher Bell when he would just run off, and even this year we run off a few races in a row of
Yeah.
winning and being dominant. So they all do it a little bit different way, but it just shows you that wins don't always translate to points overall. So just because you have a win doesn't mean you're going to be top in the points either. You still got to get these stage points as much as they suck and be in the right positions at the right time. So with all that, this weekend they go to Michigan International. This should be a good race too. It's another mile and a half track, so guys to get out there, get some speed going. Another prime, so we'll deal with that. I was kind of hoping they would do a little bit more like with the football. They do like the advanced view or whatever, and they give you like the stats and like the
Oh
splitsing and stuff like
yeah.
that. And like that annoying ass guy jumps in every 10 minutes and gives you some stat you
yeah.
probably could have lived the rest of your life not knowing, and then he
Well,
gets back
this
in.
is their first year though using Prime some, right?
Yeah, so I don't think they really knew what to use yet. Like they were trying some things like with the gas mileage, and I'm like, yeah, it's not really doing much for me. Like they try little things, like I think they're trying to figure out what's gonna be
What's gonna work?
yeah, what's gonna make sense, what's gonna work, what'll translate.
Yeah.
Still definitely trying to feel it out, but whatever. I'll give them props. They're a little bit better than Fox, and you know, it is what it is. As long as I can see the race, it's not that big of a deal
Yeah.
what they're doing otherwise. And keeping it simple, honestly, nowadays is actually probably good. I don't know why I'm wanting them to start fudging it up with a bunch of different, uh, you know, in-race features and whatnot. Like, let's just keep it as simple as possible going forward. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
so that's it. Oh, I will just touch I watched the Earnhardt documentary, it's on Prime too. They kinda rolled it out in addition to them taking over season-long coverage, but it's been really interesting. I've also been dovetailing that with watching old races, the top 75 races of NASCAR history, so
oh,
it's been good to, like, see these races and then this documentary in context of a lot of what was happening. Definitely paints a little bit different perspective of Dale Earnhardt, the driver, Dale Earnhardt, the family person, and everything going on because this also happened before I was really alive for most of it, and then I only really knew him, and then he died, so I didn't really know much about his legacy leading into that, and just what I would read and stuff like that. But it's been cool to be able to learn about those different things and how it all ties into racing and safety and uh, kind of what you see in every sport when it's somebody who's number one for so long, what it does to be that number one, and it's not always what it's pretty much made out to be. Like you have to
Yeah.
sacrifice something, and usually it starts with your family. And
yeah,
for a lot of his career, that was the first thing to be sacrificed in order to have success on the track. So it's nice in a way because it's a person that you're a fan of, and then sometimes when you find out these things, it's a little hard to separate that guy on the track versus the guy who spent time like doing whatever else he did. So, but it's cool to know. It's cool to see. It's a lot of neat home taking footage from Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his sisters and brother. So a lot of cool footage and just neat to see a guy who his legacy is definitely as big as it should be, but probably be even bigger if he were still alive at this point.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just being able to be around and do other things and maybe get into broadcasting or own a team still, because he had a team at that point that obviously disbanded and now NASCAR is what it is with such few cars and few teams. So would have been interesting to see how he would have navigated all the different challenges that they face right now. But cool to see, though. I'm glad that there's more content like this coming out. Like I was saying about hockey, Amazon's doing a little bit more in these other sports. So as long as somebody's doing it, and getting exposure and letting us see these guys for who they are on and off the track is, I feel like, really important for growing the sport.
Yeah. I think the social media aspect's huge. A lot of times players, true or not true, allegations, what's going on behind the scenes off the field, you hear a lot more noise nowadays, which you might not heard from a story like Dale Earnhardt until, years later when it's told by the people within. But I think, making these sports, not everyone just sits down and watches a 4 or 5 hour race. But the different things that you can make it, social media medializing the game. Yeah, things like that. And I'm sure there's some difficulties with NASCAR because it's still a young sport in relation to some others. There's not as much history, as like baseball, which has infinite amounts of stories they can tell. Sure. So I think it was huge for NASCAR, help their branding, help try to rebuild some of what Dale Earnhardt lost. It's making me want to give it a watch, Chase. So I appreciate the insight on it. And, I do hope NASCAR continues to grow and build more cool memories, cool races that you can see in 20 years and be like, oh yeah, I remember that race.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's good to hear. And like you said, it's such a young sport still. And the guys back then were just rebels. And I feel like that's the coolest part to see is you don't really get to see that now. They're a little bit more refined. They kind of look like they all work at Best Buy type deal. But, back then they were just rough, rugged, fix the car, get in with the cowboy boots, smoking a cigarette, driving it with a golf club on. Like they just were a different breed of person. So uh, it's really neat to see because like any sport, when you see what it was beforehand, I think you appreciate a lot more of what it is now.
Yeah.
Like I think there's so many other things. Like if you watch an old football game, old baseball game, we talk about old baseball stats all the time, how some guys would just pitch 44 innings in 2 days and they didn't even care. And they had like 30 strikeouts and a 1.09 ERA. And it's like, dang, that's this different breed of human. So it puts everything into different terms and perspectives and,
right.
Yeah, but it's really neat. So yeah, if you guys get to see any of it, definitely I would recommend it.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone for listening, tuning in, however you're watching it later. And we'll be back next week with episode 108.
Yeah. This is Ben Ryan Chase, 107 out. See ya.